What is up? What is up? What is up, everyone? It's Thursday night here in Sydney, Australia, and I'm joined tonight by an amazing guest, Mr. Damian Rivers. I'm going to bring him out very, very soon, guys, but you know what time it is. That's right. It's time for you to pour yourself a stiff one, crack yourself a cold one, roll yourself a green one, sit back, relax, enjoy another episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored, because I am your host, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin, and we are brought to you live by Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram, and wherever you're finding us, as long as you're finding us, that is the main point and the part of that we love to see you guys rock up. But guys, first up, I want to thank some sponsors. First up is A-Rock Designs. Now, A-Rock Designs is that company you see all over the wrestling Facebook groups, the wrestling Facebook pages, the Instagram pages, the Twitter profiles. They make custom wrestling cups, hoodies, t-shirts, keychains, tumblers. They made me my custom CM Punk tumbler, which I'm always sporting because I'm a huge fucking punk mark. But after Bin Hameen calling him CM cunt, I can't get that out of my head. That is an amazing cup. It keeps my cold drinks cold and my hot drinks hot. You need to go and check them out. They do an amazing product for a great price. Next up is Signal Studios. Now, Signal Studios is the company that recorded my beautiful entrance music by the band The Cicadas. Now, if you're an independent wrestler, you need to get yourself some fly, some dope, some cool ass shit music to walk to your ass to the ring to. If you want to get your hands on a dope ass track, you need to hit up Signal Studios. They can mix, master, produce, and send that bitch out to you anywhere in the world. Or if you're a musician living in Sydney, you need a place to rehearse, a place to jam, a place to get the creative juices flowing. You will not find a more comfortable setting than Signal Studios. So make sure you go and check those guys out. But guys, I can see the chat starting to come in here. We got Facebook user, we got Martin Hughes, loving the CZW belt. Stick around, Martin, and I'm going to bring out my guest at this time. It is Deathmatch Down Under star, Mr. Damian Rivers. How are you tonight, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent, man. It's great to have you on, man. I've become a fan of yours after seeing your match with Callan Butcher just a few weeks back. Man, how are you feeling after that match? Because that was some pretty brutal shit.
Look, I'm feeling good. The first shower I took after that match absolutely sucked, but I'm cool. Bit cut up, like a few on the arm. Not that you can really see on the webcam, but yeah.
Dude, fine. Man, when you go through the first 100 light tube match in Australian history, dude, you know, that was something truly amazing to watch. But man, like, how did you get started in wrestling? Were you always a fan of it as a kid growing up, or was it something that you came into later in life?
No, absolutely. I've always said I don't remember the first time I saw wrestling. All I can say is that, like, I don't remember my life before I found wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was just always like my dad would be like watching WCW Nitro or something, and she'd be like, "Come, sit down," and it kind of all stemmed from there. Now,
and how did you obviously, once you sort of started getting into it, deathmatch wrestling is something which isn't necessarily, you've got to really go and find it. And especially back when WCW was around and around that time frame, like they had the hardcore wrestling, but nothing compared to like the deathmatch stuff like FMW did, XPW, CZW, IWA Mid-South. But how did you come into finding that genre?
Initially I kind of stumbled upon like ECW, and then they put out like their most violent matches DVD. I really liked some of the stuff on that. The Sabu Terry Funk barbed wire match really resonated with me. From there, it was like I'd go on YouTube at school and look up like ECW most extreme whatever, and then from there, like the recommended videos would be wrestling's most violent moments or whatever, and then you'd see like all this CZW stuff and all this IWA Mid-South stuff, and then from there it would take you to actual CZW's most extreme moments, and you'd see like Sick Nick Mondo and Zandig coming off the building or stuff like that. And from there, it kind of just was like, Yeah.
Dude, it really was. Like, you look at the stuff that's like ECW did back in that time frame in that mid to late 90s, and it was like at the time that was pretty violent shit because you weren't seeing it on regular television. And then like you started seeing other companies. I think in Japan they really had like a strong deathmatch fan base there, and I think when it really started to hit in America with the IWA Mid Souths and like some of those matches they were doing, it was almost like, okay, what can we top next? You know?
Yeah.
And sorry,
No go.
no, you go, please.
I forgot what I was going to say. It's cool.
But like, you know, you mentioned seeing like that sort of style, but when did you decide to give wrestling a go? Like, was it the time for you to say, you know, I'm going to jump in here and try giving this my all?
It was something I'd contemplated doing for quite a while. I was probably like 20 or 21 at the time. I was working in a warehouse with Jake Navarro, who runs the Relentless School down in Melton with Jake's T, and he was working there. And little to my knowledge, he was a wrestler. One of the guys was like, "Hey, we've got a wrestler here. Come meet him." So I met Jake and expressed to him like, "Look, this is something I'd be interested in." And he was like, "Look, if it's something you're interested in, like, try it. Come down to a show, see if you like it. If you do, I'll introduce you to George the Hitman, and we'll take it from there." Lo and behold, I came down to the show, was like, "Yeah, this looks fun." And he introduced me to George, and well, yeah, here we are.
And was like deathmatch wrestling on your sights when you got into it, or were you just like, I wanted like be like do the traditional style mainly?
No. From very early on, I kind of knew that I wanted to get into the deathmatch stuff. I actually remember a conversation I had very, very early on. Maybe like this was either before my first match or not long after. I had a conversation with Joel Bateman, pretty much saying like, "I want to get into death matches one day. This is," and he's like, "Yeah, look, one day you'll do it. It'll probably end up being with me, and you'll do it." And lo and behold, now I've had 2 death matches with Joel.
Yeah. And did you find like your trainers had to pull you back a little bit? Like, because you were like, so like, obviously that was what your sights were set on, is going to the more violent style. Were you eager to try and learn more of the gimmick style stuff quickly, or were you like patient with your training?
I was patient. I'd like to think I was pretty patient with it. I don't think I did my first gimmick match till I was at least 2.5 years in, maybe. And that was a ladder match. Um, After that, I dabbled in a little bit of hardcore, nothing
Yeah.
like full death matchy. Um, then every time it'd just be something else. So like you'd pull out the barbed wire bat, you'd pull out the thumbtacks, and then it was just like one thing after the other until 2016, I think it was. I had my first death match with Joel.
Yeah, right. And how did you find like going from like, obviously, you know, you waited 2 years before you started doing like doing a ladder match, and then I started adding these extra elements into it. But how did you feel going through it? Like, was it a rush? Was it like straight away? Were you like questioning your decision to do it afterwards? Like, what was the thought process
Never did I
during?
never did I question, to be honest. Like I did it and I was like, "Yep, this is for me." And then every
Yeah.
time I do something else and I'm like, "Yep, all right, cool. That hurts. Not as bad as I thought it would. I can deal with
Yeah.
that."
And I think people's like perception to pain is like I think people's threshold to pain is far greater than what they would believe it would be. But even then, like to go through a normal pro wrestling match is like being in a small car crash. You know,
Yeah.
like to go through a death match, you know, it is something on like another level.
Yeah, I don't know. I've said to a couple of guys like deathmatch isn't that bad if you can block out the mental part of it. Like you see all this like sharp shit in front of you and you're like, "Oh fuck, that's pretty scary." And then it's just like, you got to try and put that out of your head. And it's like, once you can get past that, it's like, it's not that bad. Like, it still hurts. It still sucks. I'm not here saying that I love pain or anything. Like, it still hurts.
Yeah.
It's just, once you get past the mental side of, oh, fuck, this is really going to hurt, you block that out. It's like, all right, that hurts, but I can deal with it.
But that's the thing, it's not having the hesitation, like if you start having, hesitating while you're in the ring, that's where shit can go pear-shaped, and that's where accidents can become astronomical.
100%.
But and even like I remember seeing the Viceland documentary that and I'm Jun Kasai was on, and it was like the wrestler, I think it was, and it was like his wife was like preparing the weapons for him, and he was like, like, does this hurt any less knowing that that was made from like love? And he's like, no, I'm falling on fucking knives, man. Like, what do you think, dude? It's gonna suck. But you were saying that the pain has to feel relative, like the audience watching it has to understand, like someone stepping on like a Lego or cutting themselves with like a knife, like a kitchen knife. People know that sort of pain, so when they see it in a match, it automatically to them it intensifies.
Yeah, 100%. Which is why like the audience will always resonate more with something that they can relate to. Like, everyone's stepped on a thumbtack, or everyone stepped on a Lego, or nicked themselves on a barbed wire fence. Like, everyone knows that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the thing is, like, once the audience knows that pain, goes, oh, like, that sort of feeling, like even like you've seen with some of the matches where they do the syringes through the cheeks and shit. Like, that's the sort of shit, like, me as a fan, I watch that and just go, oh, fuck. Like, that's some cringy shit, because it's like, that pain.
100%. And like I said with the syringes, it's like everyone knows what getting an injection or a blood test or whatever feels like. A lot of people have that fear of needles. It's like, you see one going through a guy's face, it's just like, oh, yuck. Is it going to hurt? Yeah, probably. But it's like the look of it is like and that's what's so cool, like that reaction, because people know.
What's been the craziest reaction you've got from like, what's been the craziest thing that you got which got you the biggest reaction?
Honestly, the Glad Wrap stuff that I've been doing has gotten a really, really good response to it. It's kind of a multifaceted weapon in that I can actually use the wrap to wrap someone's face up, or the Glad Wrap cutter across the head, or whatever. So it's like, people really resonate that with. Everyone's cut themselves on the Glad Wrap box,
dude.
So that's yeah.
That's crazy, man. Like, I remember seeing that in one of the clips, and the Glad Wrap as well. I was like, holy fuck. There's like, I think there's a guy in the States, Schlack, that does the plastic bag over the head, but the Glad Wrap, I think, is more, I think, something that resonates more to, I think, probably Aussie fans. Like, I know they've probably got cling wrap over in the States, but it's always been like something that you see in the house. Like, every household has Glad Wrap, right?
Yeah.
So smart way to do it. But like, as far as like, going through and getting that big reaction, like the first time you bought the Glad Wrap out, like, did the crowd pop for it? What were their reaction to it?
Honestly, first time I ever did it was in the Callan tube match. It had been something I'd kind of thought of during COVID lockdown, when we couldn't wrestle for practically a year. I was like wrapping a sandwich or something mundane like that. It was just like, this would be cool. There's a blade here. I think I could use that. And then it was like, wait a second. Not only could I use the blade, I could wrap a guy's face in it. It's like, it's a multi-tool.
And how did it work with Callan? Like, was he sold on it straight away, or was it something you had to be like, hey man, I got this idea with some Glad Wrap?
Nah, he was sold on it pretty much straight away.
Yeah, I mean, because you think of having it wrapped around your whole face and stuff, like the suffocating thing of it is like, man, that's some crazy ass shit. But like, and even the blade on it as well, as you said, everyone's felt that pain, everyone's felt that nick.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What is probably like what's the next thing that you want to try? Like you said, you've had several death matches and you've started to get into it now, where you you're now seasoned in it. What is a stipulation of a match that you haven't done, which has been something that you really want to do?
Nora barbed wire.
Yeah.
Something I've always kind of wanted to do.
Well, yeah, and does that go back to the Funk Sabu match for you? Like just having that moment?
100%. I remember being like 12 or something watching that match and being like, I want to do this. And it's just like, I don't know why I would have thought that at 12 years old, but I'm like, there was a part of me that was like shocked and disgusted and mortified at what was going on. There's another part of me that's like, that looks fun.
It was crazy, man. And do you have an opponent you'd like to get in there with this match with?
There's a bunch that I'd love to, just on a local level. Even like I'd do it with Joel in a heartbeat, Mad Dog, even Callan, Vixen. There's a whole bunch of people locally that I'd love to do that match with.
Have you tried pitching the match to the powers that be at Deathmatch Down Under?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're keeping that one in the back pocket. So
I just did 100 tube death match. We've got to save something.
Exactly. Well, hey, man, yeah, it's going to take a bit of time to get it back to heal up, but you got to even spread it out a little bit as well, though, man. But
yeah,
for you now, are you solely only going to be doing deathmatch wrestling, or do you still want to wrestle the traditional style as well?
I'll still do traditional matches if I'm used in them. Like I've got no problem with wrestling a traditional style. But in saying that, like my matches have never been a hold for hold mat wrestling class. That's never been me. I'll go in there if I'm in a wrestling match. I'm gonna brawl. That's what I'm gonna do. And
that's entertaining though, bro. Like seeing dudes just stand, or competitors in the ring just trading lefts and rights. It sort of gives it that big fight feel, and obviously fans really get rolled up for it as well. But for you, being since you started in pro wrestling and then you started going into doing more of the gimmick matches and more violent style matches, have you got goals still on the list from when you started that you want to accomplish?
100%. No barbed wire is like going back to that. That's something from like practically day one. I'm like, I cannot quit wrestling happily before I've done one of them. Like, personally, I'd love to go overseas and wrestle. I'd love to have guys from overseas come here and work with them. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, you said the no rope barbed wire and also guys coming from overseas, like we had, I think Casanova Valentine came out not too long ago. And I think, I'd really like to see some of the more of the internationals come over, like from the States, the Ricky Shane Pages, guys like that, because I think that there's a lot of local guys that could put on some amazing matches with someone like Ricky Shane Page. Even Nick Gage probably wouldn't get in the country, but Alex Colon, the list is endless of who the guys that could come out here and put on some great matches with guys like yourself and Joel. But as far as like the injuries that you've sustained, like through doing, the deathmatch style, have you had any severe injuries that have put you on the shelf for any period of time?
No, not really. Not from death matches, at least. Very early on, the clip surfaces from time to time. It was like my third match or something. I went to do like a dive into a cutoff spot and just absolutely didn't know how to do it. Never asked, and just face first into the apron, knocked me out mid match.
Did you finish the match?
Yeah, it was luckily it was a tag team match, so I kind of just tagged out and was like, yeah, this is on you now, mate. And then I came in 2-3 minutes later after I'd got my shit together and finished the match.
Dude, that's fucking nuts, dude. But And like with your family, were they supportive of you getting into the wrestling business?
Yeah. My mother doesn't love the deathmatch stuff.
I can imagine she wouldn't.
But yeah, they're cool with it.
Yeah. They come and watch the matches still, or
they will not come watch me do a deathmatch. My partner will come watch me do death matches, but you won't see my parents or my grandparents or anything like that watching me do 100 live tubes. That's for sure.
I can imagine. And what was your partner's reaction to seeing you doing something like 100 light tube death match?
Oh, she does not like it. She's got a phobia of glass.
Oh, really?
So for me to come home covered in broken glass, pulling it out of me for a week, not a fan.
Did you like have to like preempt her like leading up to the match?
Oh no, she knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, so she was like,
She
okay,
knew what it
well,
was.
but was
You're
she
an
more?
idiot.
Was she surprised at the end of it? Like, was it like worse than what she expected? Do you think, or like?
I think she knew what to expect, and she got it.
Yeah, that's
You're an
the
idiot.
thing. Yeah, that's the thing, man. I can just imagine, like, you know, like from a parent's perspective and also like a partner's perspective of going, yeah, no, we're not going to be getting in, like, supporting the deathmatch thing. Yeah, well, maybe when you're wrestling The Rock, we'll come and watch that one.
Yeah.
So, but I notice in the background there, man, you're a bit of a collector, dude, of action figures and Funko Pops, man. How long have you been collecting the figures for, dude?
A while. I don't know how long, but a while.
Yeah, right. Like, is it something you started out as a kid doing?
Yeah, I was huge into figures as a kid, and then like I got older, and once I kind of got out of my I'm too cool for this teenage years, I was like, all right, yeah, nah, I want all my childhood stuff back. And it's like if I don't have it, I'm gonna rebuy it and I'm gonna collect it all. And it's just then from there, it's like I'm just gonna start buying all the new stuff and all the guys that I think are cool and whatever. So it's a never ending, a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. I got young kids, bro. So if I started collecting action figures, I know what would happen to them. They would be end up beheaded and everywhere else. So, but
look, I got a 9-year-old, and I'm thankful that not once have I ever had a run-in where she's broken, destroyed anything of mine. Only thing I cannot have around my house are toy rings because my cats will absolutely destroy the ropes.
Oh, really?
They will destroy them, just chew them.
Jesus, man. Well, like I said, I got the belts as a collectible, man. My kids, like, they come in here, they look at it, but they do not touch them. They know that if they want to hold it, they're like, "Can we get down and play with it?" I'm like, "No, you can sit down and hold it. There's no playing with it." My wife's like, "Seriously, you're like a big child, dude. Just let them fucking play with it." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, no, that's the same with me. If I've got like guests over and I've got like kids running around the house, room is shut. Stay out of here. This is the one room that's out of bounds.
Yeah, that's the same with my office here. It's like my nephews and nieces come over and they're like, come in and they're like, I'm like, don't even touch it. Just look. Just don't even come in here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've even had to tell a few mates going, hey, just chill, bro. Like,
Ease up.
Yeah, ease up, champ. But you know, what's the next match coming up for you with Deathmatch Down Under, Damian?
It was meant to be the Smashing Sandcastles tag team match. We got locked down last week. That got cancelled. So it's probably going to be that one next.
Have they rescheduled that event?
Yeah, March 6th.
Nice. Are you guys still on lockdown now in Victoria?
No, we got out today.
Oh wow, there you go. I don't keep up with the news, bro. So my wife tells me what's going on, and that's just it. But so obviously, it's looking like the show is going to go ahead on March 6th for you guys. You know, how did you get involved with Deathmatch Down Under?
I was approached real early on by Jay and Joel. Something you're interested in? Yep. And that I full
Jump
well
in.
was like, death matches here. We can do them properly. Fucking oath, let's go.
Is there ever like I would say like venues would probably be a little bit hesitant to have like that sort of level of violence, like with the matches that you've had, well, the match you've had with Deathmatch Down Under with Callan. Was there anything they're saying, okay, guys, you can't do any spots involving, say, fire, or you can't do spots using this? Like, was there any restrictions that the venue put on you guys?
Don't hit the projector, and I did it accidentally with the super tube at the end. If you see, it was don't hit the projector, bang, tubes straight into the projector, and I'm just like, fuck, whoops.
Was it wrecked?
No, thankfully.
Oh, there you go. So they're like,
It's
all
like,
right, the venue's like, we'll have you guys back.
yeah,
But yeah, man, look, I think it as well, like, with you guys, with Deathmatch Down Under, you guys are really on a really good path, like bringing something new and different into Australian wrestling. And like I said, I didn't even know there was deathmatch wrestling in Australia until like I'd spoken to Joel. And yeah, like you guys, after watching, the first show, for me, I was just sitting there blown away because like you guys were able to compete on any other company that does that around the world, in my opinion. And I've been a deathmatch fan for a long time, so I was sitting there watching it, and the matches I thoroughly enjoyed. Like I really appreciated the work that everyone went into those matches, and the ones that were the ultra violent gimmicks, they weren't necessarily a hack and slash match. You know what I mean? Like everything had the psychology into it that me as a wrestling fan could enjoy. It wasn't just like, okay, straight into the weapons and fucking each other up. It was like the build up to it was something that I could sit back and as a fan really appreciate.
yeah, and I think that was something we always just tried to make sure we're doing at DMDU. We're not just putting on violence for the sake of violence. Something that's, if you've never seen a death match before, you're in the crowd, you've never seen a death match before, you can be like, all right, yeah, cool, I get it.
Yeah.
And I think for the most part, everyone that attended that show left with their money's worth for their ticket.
And I definitely think it was, and I think with deathmatch, and I said this when I spoke with Joel, having deathmatch in the name, there's not going to be any people turning up to a show expecting a G-rated show. Like it's very much sets the precedent. Hey, look, we're going to have some wrestling. There's going to be some violent shit in here as well, and it's going to be epic. But this is adult content.
Yeah, it's transparency to the highest degree. It's in the name. Death Match Down Under. You're not coming to this and expecting a family-friendly, fun show that you're going to bring your 5-year-old nephew to. It's not what you're coming to. You're going to come here, you can see some violent shit, you can get drunk, you can have a beer. It's an over 18 show. There's no like bait and switch where you come in, it's like, hey everyone, it's a family-friendly show. Oh, by the way, we're doing 100 light tubes on it. No, it's none of that. It's
and I think promotions have probably done that. Promotions have done that sort of shit in the past, where they've just like thrown surprising. The world of wrestling can be quite the carny filled world at times. And I think a promotion actually did that in Melbourne back in the day. They promoted a family friendly show, then gave them like a no rope by a death match, which I only just seen that match recently, and I was like, holy fuck! Like you can see
still
kids
holds up to this day. Still holds up to this day though.
Amazing match, dude. But like seeing kids running around,
kids everywhere. 100%. Like, look, I've been a part of shit like that too, where it's like it's a family-friendly show, and then I'm doing light tubes and barbed wire, and like we brought out a dildo, and like just stupid shit that you shouldn't be doing in front of like small children. We did it, and the next month crowds were down. I wonder why. Because we've marketed it as a family show, and no one wants to come to the show that the guy's getting powerbombed through a light tube table, and their kids are getting showered in light tube glass.
Yeah, like that's pretty fucked up. And I suppose like being in the ring, like, and you knowing that as you're doing it, was there ever like hesitation going, maybe we should just not like use the gimmicks tonight?
Yeah, yes and no. It was like the bittersweet of like this is probably not the right place to be doing it, but if I'm not doing it here, where am I going to do it? Because at the time, DMdu won a thing.
Yeah.
No, and for the longest time, no one wants to touch death matches.
Yeah.
So
it's got that connotation, doesn't it? You know, like deathmatch wrestling. It's, you know, I think a lot of the casual fans of wrestling, they hear deathmatch wrestling and I think it probably, death. What, they don't know what it is, and they're probably thinking backyard wrestling, right? So they look at it from like a different aspect of it's not backyard wrestling, it's professional wrestling, which is incorporating extra elements into it. But in order to be a good deathmatch worker and put on good deathmatch wrestling, you need to be a good professional wrestler in order to then start adding in the other elements.
Absolutely. But it's just like for the longest time here, ever since the Carnage death match that you were just talking about, where there was a whole bunch of kids in the crowd for that Noro barbed wire match, and Today Tonight got involved and all this other stuff, and it just brought a very negative connotation to the word death match here in Australia. And it was just like whenever anyone was doing a death match, the grumblings would be, "Oh, this is going to be the one that kills it for all of us." And then the next, and it wouldn't. And then the next one would come along. This is going to be the one that's going to kill it for all of us. And the next one would come along because that one didn't kill it. It was just, there was always like a stigma of one day you deathmatch guys are going to fuck it up for the rest of us. And it hasn't. And
I mean, you look at deathmatch wrestling, there's been accidents where shit goes wrong. And that happens in normal pro wrestling matches as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you look at, Darren Drozdoff and the D'Lo Brown incident, just, no gimmicks in the match at all. It was just a freak incident. Same with like Tyson Kidd and Samoa Joe, freak incident. That I think, the most recent thing that happened in a death match was the David Arquette thing or the G-Raver thing, where it was like, extra elements, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and even then, Arquette turned around and said, no, that wasn't anyone's fault, but it was mine. I wigged out. You know what I mean? Like, you can't blame the other, Nick Gage, the performer, if someone that you're dancing with decides to take a left where they should have taken a right.
That's it. And I've always said, like, most of the time, I'm watching a lot of guys wrestle, and they're taking neck bumps and all this, like, crazy shit. And I'm like, half the shit you guys are doing is more dangerous than the shit I'm doing. I'm flat backing through barbed wire boards, and you're taking, like, bumps on your head. It's like, yeah, cool, I'm getting cut up, and it hurts. And it probably hurts in the immediate. It's like, but you're doing some serious fucking spinal damage, man.
100%, dude. And it's, like I said, there's good wrestling and there's bad wrestling, dude. And for me, you even see some of the stuff like on NXT where I've seen some people take some questionable bumps where I'm just like, who the fuck, like, that's like the, you know what I mean? Like,
why are you not dead?
But I'm like, at that level, like, what the fuck? There's no one sitting there going, hey, you don't fucking do fucking diving springboards bouncing off your fucking back onto the fucking side of the... You know what I mean? Like, it's surprising there's not someone pulling it back, where I think on the indie level, it's probably a lot harder for people to be pulled back because, the guys are putting the matches together. They're like, yep, this is what we're going to do. This will be sick. This will be a great spot. But at a bigger level, you'd think there's someone pulling guys back a little bit.
100%.
But, have you ever been pulled back in a match yourself? Like someone said, no, dude, we're not doing that.
No, not really. Not off the top of my head.
Have you ever just like been presented with something and gone, fuck that? Like, fuck no.
No, but there's stuff that I won't do. Like, I won't do barefoot stuff. Fuck that. I like being able to walk. Um, and in all fairness, fuck doing fire. Like, that's my one probably hard no, fire.
Dude, I don't blame you. It's so unpredictable.
Look, there's a lot of things that are probably unpredictable. Like a light tube's unpredictable. Most deathmatch incidents you ever see are light tubes. But it's like there's a difference between getting hurt and getting fucking hurt. And like a burn and a cut are completely different. Like a cut, what's the worst going to happen? You're going to need a few stitches. You spend the night in hospital. It's going to be really fucking annoying. But whatever. It's like a burn. Depending on how bad it is, you're going to be feeling it for weeks, and you're going to be feeling sorry for yourself, and you're just going to be like, fuck my fucking life. No thanks. Like, I'm not about it.
Yeah, no.
You'd have to pay me a fuckload of money.
Well, there you go, DMDU. If you want him to use fire, you got to pay him the money. But Martin Hughes III, he's got a question asking how you feel about stiff wrestling.
It's cool. Whatever. Like, I don't hate it. As long as it's safe, like work as hard as you want. Don't hurt anyone.
Have you ever had guys go a little bit too stiff in the ring with you?
No,
not
at all. Like I've worked with guys that hit really fucking hard. But
just hit them back.
You just hit them back.
No, man. Well, that's 100% it, and I think it's that's the old thing in pro wrestling, man. Someone stiffs you stiff them right back, isn't it?
That's it.
But man, look, who's some of your dream opponents here in Australia that you haven't yet had the chance to work that you'd like to get in the ring and mix it up with?
I'd love to work with Mad Dog in a singles. That's like a big one. Vixen in a singles as well. I think that'd be a real fun death match. Who else off the top of my head? Richie Taylor is another one.
Yeah.
I'd love to work with Richie. Even in like not a death match setting, I'd just like to work with Richie. I think that'd be super fun.
What about internationals?
Internationals, fuck. Where do I start? Gage would be awesome.
Oh,
Alex Cologne. Takeda. Even like Casanova Valentine. I was meant to wrestle Casanova Valentine when he was down here last, and then unfortunately, being in Melbourne, lockdown bit us in the ass like 2 days before the show, and it got canned. So that's definitely one that's that I want. John Wayne Murdoch's another one.
Oh,
there's heaps.
Dude, like guys over there, man, and I think deathmatch, wrestling, died off, no pun intended, for a few years around the world, and really rejuvenated itself. When guys like Matt Tremont started hitting the scene, Nick Gage came back, guys like Ricky Shane Page, and like now I think deathmatch wrestling is probably bigger than it's ever really been, and has some amazing talent.
100% agree with you. Death matches for a while got a bit stale, whereas like Tremont came in. Who else?
Danny
RSP. Havoc. Yeah, Alex Cologne. All those guys, they came in, and there's like John Wayne Murdoch, and they started having some awesome matches. And now look at deathmatch wrestling; it's hot, and there's some of the hottest shows going right now.
Look at AEW. Look at AEW, man. They just announced
the fucking death match.
Yeah, but like, dude, remember the first match they had, the lights out shit? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that was some fucking question. You know what I mean? Like, They use gimmicked barbed wire in some settings. They use gimmick glass. You know what I mean? Like, were you a fan of it yourself? Like, did you think it was good or?
Yes and no. I think it's good for people that don't watch it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like for me and you that enjoy watching death matches and watch it all the time. You're like, yeah, that's fake, whatever. Like that's gimmick barbed wire. For someone that's never seen it before, doesn't know what gimmick barbed wire looks like, they're like, holy shit. And then that's their gateway into watching death matches. You're like, all right, if you like this, maybe you're gonna like what John Moxley was doing in CZW 10 years ago.
Dude, well, yeah, like with the electric saw blade.
Yeah, him and Brain Damage.
That was fucking crazy. Like, I saw an interview with him, and he was like, and the interview goes, "So was that like a real saw?" And he's like, "No, you fucking idiot!" Like my head, he goes, "I would be dead if that was a real saw." Like, but still, like the perception of it and the visual of it with all the blood splaying everywhere, like it looked fucking real. Like,
and it still gets gift to this day because it's cool as shit.
100%. But like, I think, you know, with AEW doing the exploding barbed wire, like I don't know if it's going to be a no rope barbed wire match though. Like, have they said that that's what it is, or?
Well, surely it's got to be.
I would be, you know what? I would be very surprised if they go through with no rope barbed wire.
At this point, I'd be disappointed if they didn't.
I'd be disappointed if it didn't. But I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh fuck, what big shock, you know? Like, I don't know, man.
And then we get a match full of tables and chairs and a exploding barbed wire bat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I believe I've seen a match that was promoted as that, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
But no, that's crazy. But look, we are going to start wrapping it up soon here, guys. But before we do, we are going to get into 60 seconds with Piers. So I have explained this game to Damian. Damian, now we are going to fire rapid questions at you. You've got 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can.
Cool.
All right. Are you ready to do this?
As I'll ever be.
All right. Let me know when you're ready. Just give me the cue.
Sure.
What did you get into trouble the most as a child?
I don't know.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
Him.
What was the name of your first car?
I didn't name my car.
Which board game do you always win?
I don't play board games.
Would you rather win $10 million or live for twice as long?
No, $10 million for sure.
Cadbury
Living's overrated.
Cadbury or Nestle chocolate?
Neither, because I don't eat dairy.
5-star hotel or camping?
5-star hotel.
What languages do you speak besides English?
None.
What law would you change in Australia?
Too many to think of the top of my head.
What's the weirdest thing? What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Rabbit.
Time. You've eaten rabbit. There you go. What was that? What does rabbit taste like?
Chicken. I suppose a little bit tougher.
Well, there you go, man. We got a question. Someone asking, will Damian Rivers be in a tournament of death? Possibly in the future.
If someone can make that happen, I'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But Damian, where can everyone find you? Where can they get some Damian Rivers merch if they want to support you as well, bud?
So on Instagram, I'm at Damian_Rivers666. On Twitter, I'm at Damian Rivers666. No underscore in that one. And you can find my t-shirts on Wrestler merch if you go under Damian Rivers.
There you go, guys. We'll get those links added to the YouTube video description. But Damian, look, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, man. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and having you on, man. Best of luck for the upcoming show. Hopefully the lockdowns don't come back in effect. I think we're pretty much good now, but the 6th of March, man. Best of luck. And, man, thank you very much for being a guest on Shooting the Shit Uncensored.
No, thank you for having me.
Too easy. Guys, thanks very much for tuning in. I'll have another show for you guys late tomorrow night at 2 a.m., which I'm going live with Goldilocks, former TNA interviewer and an announcer. So make sure you tune in for that one, guys, here in Australia, which will be 9 a.m. Central States time in the US. But until next time, guys, we'll see you soon. Peace.